Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear brothers and sisters, let me begin where it hurts the most. You were never created to chase what is already written for you. But somewhere along the way, you started running. Running after attention. Running after closure. Running after someone's consistency. Running after reassurance. And the more you ran, the more tired you became. Late at night, when the world becomes quiet and the distractions fade away, you feel it. That deep, heavy exhaustion, not just in your body, but in your soul. Chasing is loud. It is anxious. It is restless. It keeps you awake, replaying conversations, analyzing text messages, and wondering what you could have done differently. But the one who stops chasing does not become empty. They become grounded. The moment you step back, take a deep breath, and say, Ya Allah, if this is for me, let it come with ease. Something profound shifts inside you. You stop overthinking. You stop over-explaining. You stop over-sacrificing. And suddenly, your energy changes. You become unreachable, not because you are arrogant, but because you are finally aligned with the will of your Creator. What is written for you will never require you to beg, and what requires begging was never meant to stay. Today, we are going to explore the profound, liberating, and deeply spiritual power of quiet detachment. We will uncover why stepping back is not a sign of weakness, but a strength rooted in tawakkul, dignity, and unshakable self-worth. If you are in a season of silence, feeling emotionally drained, overlooked, or afraid of being replaced, this message is specifically for you. Let us understand the anatomy of quiet detachment. Many people misunderstand what it means to detach. They think it is coldness. They think it is arrogance, revenge, or playing games. But in Islam, quiet detachment is the ultimate act of self-respect. It is the moment you realize that your peace is a sacred trust from Allah, and you are no longer willing to let people vandalize that peace with their inconsistency, their disrespect, or their inability to value you. When you detach quietly, you stop the long explanations. You stop the desperate pleas to be understood. You stop trying to convince someone of your worth. You realize a profound truth. If someone needs a detailed presentation to see your value, they were never meant to be a witness to your life anyway. This silence is your sanctuary. It is where you finally hear the voice of your own soul again. It is where you reconnect with Allah. Chasing often comes from a place of deep fear. Fear of being left. Fear of not being chosen. Fear that if you do not hold on tightly, everything will disappear. But what Allah has decreed for you does not disappear because you became silent. It does not vanish because you stopped trying so hard. It does not collapse because you chose dignity over desperation. When you chase, you operate from a mindset of scarcity. You feel like love is rare, opportunities are limited, and if you lose this one person or this one situation, you lose everything. But when you trust Allah, you operate from a mindset of divine abundance. You understand that the one who created your heart also created exactly what fulfills it. Stopping the chase does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop forcing. It means you allow what is natural and halal to flow, and you allow what is unnatural and harmful to fall away. And here is the quiet truth. The moment you detach from desperation, the energy shifts. You are no longer easy to manipulate. You are no longer available for emotional inconsistency. You are no longer willing to accept crumbs when Allah has promised you a feast. You become steady, and steadiness is incredibly powerful. Now, let us talk about the clarity that comes from silence. There is a kind of silence that is not weakness. It is not passive. It is not defeat. It is deep spiritual awareness. When you are constantly speaking, explaining, clarifying, defending, and correcting, you are too busy managing other people's reactions to observe reality. But when you go quiet, everything becomes visible. You stop sending the first message. You stop smoothing over every conflict. You stop being the emotional glue that holds a toxic situation together. And suddenly, you see who reaches back. You see who notices your absence. You see who steps forward without being asked. You see who only valued you when you were the one doing all the trying. Silence is uncomfortable at first, especially for a heart that has been taught that love means constant effort, endless sacrifice, and giving until you are empty. But my dear brother, my dear sister, effort should not feel one-sided. Sacrifice should not feel invisible. and giving should not feel draining. When you go quiet, you are not playing games. You are creating space for the truth to reveal itself. Allah sometimes pulls you into stillness so you can see clearly, without the noise of your own emotions. In that stillness, patterns appear. You notice the inconsistency you kept excusing. You notice the disrespect you kept minimizing. You notice the indifference you kept justifying. And it hurts. It hurts, because you realize you were holding on to potential instead of reality. You were in love with an illusion, not the person or the situation in front of you. But this clarity is a mercy from Allah. Better a painful truth than a comforting illusion. Going quiet protects your heart from further confusion. It stops you from over-investing where there is no return. It teaches you to observe before you attach. And here is what is truly powerful. The one who goes quiet does not need to expose anyone or argue with anyone. Time reveals everything. Your silence becomes a mirror, and not everyone likes what they see in it. So, if you find yourself withdrawing, reflecting, speaking less, and observing more, do not panic. You are not becoming distant. You are becoming discerning. And discernment is a form of immense spiritual strength. This brings us to one of the hardest lessons to accept, divine redirection. Sometimes, what Allah removes from your life is something you begged for. You prayed for it. You cried over it. You imagined your entire future around it. And when it ends, you feel completely confused. You think, why would Allah give me hope just to take it away? Why would He let me taste this just to snatch it? But listen to me very carefully. Allah does not play with your heart. He protects it. Even when you do not understand how, He sees the unseen. You see the surface moments. He sees the ultimate outcomes. You see the affection. He sees the hidden intentions. There are conversations you never heard. There are thoughts you never knew. There are futures you never imagined that Allah has already protected you from. Sometimes, what you call heartbreak is actually a divine rescue. Sometimes, what you call rejection is actually a divine redirection. If Allah removes something from your life, it is not because you were unworthy of it. It is because it was not worthy of staying in your life. Detachment begins when you stop fighting divine decisions. It begins when you say, Ya Allah, even if I do not understand this now, I trust that you know what I do not. That trust does not remove the pain immediately. You will still miss them. You will still feel the heavy silence. You will still wonder what if. But slowly peace replaces resistance. You realize that holding on to something Allah has removed only prolongs your suffering. Letting go becomes an act of profound faith. And here is something incredibly powerful. When you release what Allah took away, you create space for what He is preparing. But if your hands are still tightly clinging to what has left, how will you be able to receive what is coming? My dear brothers and sisters, nothing that is written for you can be taken by someone else. And nothing that is not written for you can be secured by your effort alone. If it left with His permission. And if He removed it, trust that it was never safe for your heart in the long run. One day, you will look back and understand, not with anger, but with deep gratitude. Now, let us address the fear that quietly breaks so many hearts. The fear that your value decreases when someone walks away. When someone leaves, it is so easy to begin questioning yourself. Was I too emotional? Was I too available? Was I not good enough? Did I say too much? Did I not say enough? Without realizing it, you start rewriting your entire identity based on someone else's exit. But let me remind you gently, your worth was never tied to who stays. Your value was established long before anyone entered your life. Allah created you with honor. He gave you a soul, intellect, compassion, and purpose. He shaped you with deliberate care. That honor does not shrink because someone failed to recognize it. When someone walks away, it does not mean you are insufficient. Sometimes, it simply means the role they were meant to play in your life has ended. We make a grave mistake when we interpret departure as proof of our inadequacy. Not every ending is a reflection of your flaws. Sometimes, it is simply the completion of a lesson. People leave for many reasons. Immaturity, fear, lack of readiness, different priorities, or hidden intentions. Their departure says far more about their own capacity than it does about your value. But when your heart is attached, it feels deeply personal. You think, if I had just been better, they would have stayed. My dear brother, my dear sister, the right person does not require you to erase yourself to be loved. You do not reduce your standards to be chosen. You do not silence your voice to avoid conflict. You do not accept inconsistency to avoid loneliness. Quiet detachment teaches you to separate your identity from someone else's behavior. If they leave, let them leave with your dignity intact. Do not beg for someone to see what they have already chosen to overlook. Do not chase someone who has actively chosen distance. The one who truly understands their value does not collapse when someone exits their life. They grieve, they reflect, they heal, but they do not shrink. Because they know something deeper. What Allah honors cannot be dishonored by people. And if someone walks away from what Allah gifted them in you, that is their loss, not your deficiency. This leads us to another profound truth. Peace is always more powerful than proving your point. There is a temptation that keeps many people emotionally trapped. The desperate need to be understood. You replay arguments in your mind. You imagine what you should have said. You wish you could correct the false narrative about you. You want them to finally see your perspective, to admit they were wrong, to validate your feelings. But not every misunderstanding needs resolution. Sometimes, the cost of proving your point is your inner peace. You can win an argument and still lose your tranquility. You can explain yourself perfectly and still be misinterpreted. You can defend your intentions tirelessly and still be doubted. At some point, maturity whispers something incredibly powerful. Let it go. The one who detaches quietly does not chase validation. They do not gather evidence to prove their goodness. They do not fight for every perception. They choose calm over chaos. And that choice requires immense strength, because walking away from conflict is often much harder than engaging in it. Remaining silent when you have every right to defend yourself requires supreme self-control. But Islam teaches us something profound. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us that the strong person is not the one who can overpower others in a fight. The strong person is the one who controls themselves when they are angry. Peace is not passive. It is highly intentional. When you stop reacting to every message, every tone shift, every indirect comment, you protect your heart. You begin to understand that your energy is limited and precious. Not everyone deserves access to it. Not every debate deserves your participation. Sometimes, Allah is elevating you by removing you from unnecessary battles. Detachment allows you to say, I do not need to be right. I need to be at peace. And peace is powerful, because when your heart is calm, your decisions are clearer. When your mind is steady, your faith is stronger. When your emotions are regulated, your dignity remains completely intact. The one who chooses peace over proving a point does not lose. They gain stability. They gain self-respect. They gain alignment with Allah. And that alignment will always bring more victory than any argument ever could. Now, let us speak about something that quietly disturbs the heart. The fear of being replaced. You may not say it out loud, but it sits there in the back of your mind. What if they forget me? What if they find someone better? What if I become irrelevant? What if everything I gave meant nothing? These thoughts can consume you, especially at night, when your mind is loud and the world is silent. But listen to me carefully. When you truly trust Allah, you understand something deeply liberating. You are not competing with anyone. What is written for you was written before you were even born. Your rizq, your relationships, your marriage, your opportunities, all of it was decreed with absolute precision. No one can step into a space Allah specifically designed for you, and no one can remove you from a position Allah intends you to occupy. Replacement only exists where there was no divine alignment to begin with. If someone leaves and quickly finds someone else, do not interpret that as proof that you were not enough. Sometimes, it simply means they were not meant to be yours forever. Allah does not design destinies based on comparison. He does not distribute love based on competition. He does not replace sincere hearts with duplicates. The one who trusts Allah stops measuring their worth against others. They stop analyzing who is prettier, smarter, richer, or more patient. They understand that what is meant for them will not be diverted by someone else's qualities. Your uniqueness is not accidental. Your personality, your softness, your strength, your struggles, your growth, all of it is part of your divine design. If someone fails to value that design, it does not mean it was poorly created. It means it was poorly appreciated, and appreciation cannot be forced. Trusting Allah with the outcome changes your entire posture in life. You no longer cling to people out of fear. You no longer tolerate inconsistency to avoid being replaced. You no longer overextend yourself to secure a place that was always uncertain. You become steady. You understand that if Allah wants something for you, no one can block it. And if He removes something, no amount of attachment can keep it. This trust does not make you careless. It makes you calm. It does not make you indifferent. It makes you secure. When your heart is anchored in Allah, you do not panic over temporary shifts. You do not spiral over someone's attention moving elsewhere. You know your Lord is the turner of hearts, and He does not forget the sincere. The one who trusts Allah cannot be replaced, because their value does not depend on human approval. Their security does not depend on someone staying. Their identity does not collapse when someone chooses differently. They understand that their destiny is not fragile. It is divinely protected. When you reach that level of tawakkul, when your fear of losing people becomes smaller than your trust in Allah, you become untouchable, not by pride, but by peace. And that peace is more powerful than any temporary attachment could ever be. Finally, let us talk about silent growth and undeniable elevation. Not every transformation needs an announcement. Some of the most powerful changes in your life will happen quietly. So quietly that even the people closest to you will not notice at first. You will stop reacting the way you used to. You will stop explaining yourself unnecessarily. You will stop giving access to your heart so easily. And no one will see the internal work behind it. They will only see the calm, but they will not see the nights you cried and chose sabr instead of revenge. They will not see the du'as whispered in the darkness of tahajjud. They will not see the discipline it took to stay silent when you could have exposed everything. Silent growth is heavy. It requires restraint. It requires patience. It requires deep, unshakable trust. In a world that celebrates loud success and visible validation, growing in silence can feel incredibly lonely. You will sometimes wonder, does anyone see how much I have changed? And the answer is yes. Allah sees. He sees the moment you controlled your anger. He sees the message you typed and deleted. He sees the tears you hid from everyone else. He sees the effort you put into improving yourself instead of blaming others. Elevation does not always come immediately. First comes purification. Before Allah raises you publicly, He refines you privately. He strengthens your character before strengthening your position. He builds your patience before expanding your doors. He deepens your faith before widening your platform. This is why silent growth feels slow. You think nothing is happening, but internally, everything is shifting. Your standards are rising. Your tolerance for disrespect is lowering. Your attachment to people is weakening. And your attachment to Allah is strengthening. And this shift changes your entire life. One day, without even trying, you will notice something different. You are no longer easily shaken. You are no longer desperate for attention. You are no longer afraid of being alone. There is a quiet, unshakable stability within you. People will sense it. They will notice that you do not chase arguments. You do not compete for validation. You do not beg for consistency. They may not know why, but you will know. Because you chose to grow when it would have been easier to react. You chose discipline over drama. You chose prayer over panic. You chose dignity over desperation. And elevation built through silence cannot be undone by noise. My dear brothers and sisters, the one who detaches quietly does not disappear. They evolve. They become so rooted in their faith, so steady in their emotions, so secure in their worth, that nothing temporary can shake them. And when Allah decides it is time, He will reveal their growth in ways they never expected. Not to prove anything to anyone, not to compete, but to honor the patience they showed when no one was watching. So if you are in a season of silence, do not fear it. You are not being forgotten. You are being prepared. And preparation in private always leads to elevation in public. Trust the quiet work. Because the one who grows in silence rises with a strength that no one can ever take away. Let me leave you with something that you must carry in your heart forever. Silent growth is not glamorous. It does not receive applause. It does not trend. It does not get celebrated in group chats. Most of the time it feels invisible. You are changing, but no one congratulates you. You are healing, but no one sees the scars closing. You are becoming stronger, but no one notices the discipline behind it. And sometimes, that feels unfair. You think, after everything I endured, why does no one see how much I have grown? But elevation from Allah is not designed for public performance. It is designed for internal stability. If Allah had revealed your strength too early, you might have relied on praise instead of faith. If He had exposed your growth too soon, you might have tied it to people instead of Him. So He keeps you in the quiet. He strengthens you where no one can interfere. He rebuilds your confidence without external validation. He teaches you to walk alone, without feeling abandoned. And slowly, something beautiful shifts. You begin to enjoy your own company. You begin to trust your own judgment. You begin to rely on Allah more than you rely on anyone else. And this is where true elevation begins. Not when people admire you, but when you no longer need them to. The one who detaches quietly does not become cold. They become wise. They understand that attachment to people is temporary, but attachment to Allah is permanent. They understand that chasing approval weakens the heart, but seeking Allah strengthens it. They understand that silence can be louder than any confrontation. And when Allah finally opens the next door for you, whether it is a better relationship, a peaceful marriage, a new opportunity, or simply inner calm, you will enter it differently, not desperate, not insecure, not afraid of being replaced, but steady, because now, your identity is anchored in something unshakable. If someone leaves, you remain whole. If someone stays, you remain balanced. If something is delayed, you remain patient. That is the victory. Not getting everything you wanted, but becoming someone who is no longer broken by what leaves. My dear brothers and sisters, if you are in this season, this quiet, reflective, detached space, do not rush out of it. Do not run back to the noise just because the silence feels uncomfortable. Allah may be building you into a person who cannot be shaken. And when that construction is complete, you will look back and realize the quiet was not emptiness. It was preparation. The detachment was not loss. It was protection. And the silence was not neglect. It was elevation. Trust the process, because the one who detaches quietly always rises in a way that cannot be undone. May Allah grant you a heart that is content, a life that is purposeful, and a peace that never fades. May He protect you from those who do not value you, and may He surround you with those who bring you closer to Him. Alhamdulillah. May the peace, mercy, and blessings of the Almighty be upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family, his companions, and all those who follow his beautiful way until the day of judgment. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.